Good evening. Let me look at you all before I put my glasses on.
Much better.
Big Night by Eileen Dew. It was Merlin's 7th birthday. Mimi and Ganush had driven all the way from New Jersey, and Papa had taken the day off from his job as conservation biologist for the Bureau of Natural Land. All 5 of them, including Mama with Peregrine strapped to her back, came to pick him up at school. The weather had warmed, and Peregrine cried, "JJ! JJ!" looking at the kids around the soccer ball in the playground. Mr. Lajoie stood at the door saying goodbye to every student by name. "I hope you'll all come to see our production of A Year with Frog and Toad this weekend," Mr. Lajoie said to all. Merlin was going to be Snail, and had been practicing his song, "I'm coming out of my shell," every possible moment, whether singing it aloud or just over and over again in his head. It was a short walk home where Pippin was on the front lawn to greet them. It was mud season in Maine, and Pippin, a big lump of a dog, nosed his way into the house after them. "Baby," said Peregrine, pointing to the cat. He called any diminutive creature the French word for baby. Merlin kicked off his boots, revealing 1 tan sock and 1 green. On the table were presents, wrapped with a special tape that had sparkly stars on it, and a plate of gluten-free cupcakes with meringue. Mama lit the candles and held up the plate as they sang, "Happy birthday to you." After Merlin blew out the candles, Mimi and Ganush gave him a book about gappers who attack goats. And Mom and Papa gave him just what he wanted, a rocket stomper. He also got a ball that lit up inside when it was bouncing, and he let Peregrine play with it. "Ball! Ball!" But the part of the day Merlin was most looking forward to came after supper. It was Big Night in Maine, the first warm, rainy night of spring, when wood frogs and spotted salamanders began their journey. Papa had been watching the weather, and as they were eating dinner, Merlin's favorite, brown rice with butter and tamari, the sky cracked open, and everyone donned their yellow slickers and tall rubber boots, packing flashlights and batteries. As Mama bundled the baby in his dinosaur suit, Papa told them they might see hundreds of salamanders crossing the road to vernal pools where they would lay their eggs. Volunteers were stationed on the roads of Bodunham to make sure the motorists would not interfere with the amphibians' journey. Papa drove down to Browns Point Road slowly and cautiously, veering from side to side. "Look," he said. "There, did you see that one?" "I saw it," Merlin said. "I saw a frog." "Baby," said Peregrine. "And look, there's a salamander," said Papa. "Well, how can you tell?" Mimi said. "It's so dark. They're so tiny. We're moving so fast." "I can't see anything," said Ganush from the back seat. Mama was in the back too, singing to Peregrine. Lately, when Peregrine heard music, he wanted to dance. So he rocked his head from side to side. It was Big Night for Peregrine, too. "Da-da," he said, which meant he wanted to go for a ride on Mama or Papa's shoulder. "Dee-dee! Dee-dee!" No one was sure what Dee-dee meant. Mama's lullaby put Ganush to sleep. Soon he was snoring. And then there was a sound even louder than Ganush snoring. It sounded like tiny, teeny wind chimes in the distance, and it grew louder and louder. "Those are the spring papers," said Papa. "They need vernal pools to which to lay their eggs." "But what happens if the temperature freezes?" asked Merlin. "Well, it's not uncommon for them to endure periods of sub-freezing temperatures during the breeding season," said Papa. "Their body fluids can freeze without affecting their cell structure, so they can survive temperatures as low as -8 degrees Celsius. Papa rolled down the window, and the chirping was even louder. Peregrine danced to their chorus while Ganush's snoring was interrupted by a snort. Papa pulled over to the side, leaving the fog lights on. Merlin, Mimi, and Papa piled out. The road was illuminated by the car's headlights, and their flashlights were barely necessary. Mama continued singing French lullabies to Peregrine. "I found one!" cried Merlin, picking up a little frog. "Well, that's a peeper," said Papa. And Merlin placed it gently on the earth alongside the road it had been headed toward. Papa pointed to red-backed salamanders and yellow-spotted salamanders. "How come we hardly ever see them?" asked Merlin. "Well, they only come out to breed after a rain. Mostly they live underground." "Well, how come they can't breed in the Cathane River?" asked Merlin. "How come they need vernal pools?" "Because the fish in a lake or a river would eat the salamanders and their eggs," said Papa, as Merlin helped several of the spotted mini-lizards to get to the other side. They passed another marshy area, and the peepers got loud again. "But what's that other sound? More bass?" asked Mimi. "Those are the wood frogs," said Papa, as they watched them leap over to the road. Mimi went back to the car where Peregrine had finally fallen asleep, so that Mama could have a turn looking at the wood frogs, the peepers, and the spotted salamanders. The air was crisp, and she was still warm from holding the baby. Her glasses frosted up, but she could still see in the glare of the headlights reflecting off the shiny wet road. "Mama!" cried Merlin, running to give her a big hug. "The amphibians are making babies tonight!" "I know," said Merlin. "Oh, it's so magical. And isn't it special that big night is happening on your birthday? And it's a full moon. Oh, this could be the only time that all three things happen at once." "Look at that one," Merlin said. "There are so many of them. I hope they all make it." Suddenly they heard a roar of an unmuffled engine. Bright lights lit up the entire road as a red pickup truck sped fast, splashing through puddles and sending rivulets from its tires. "Not from around here," said Papa, noticing the New Hampshire plates. "Oh, no!" cried Merlin, running to a pile in the road in the truck's wake. "Oh, no!" said Mama. All three bent over the wood frog, no longer moving. Merlin picked it up, and Papa reached into his sack for a small trowel. Along the side of the road, Papa dug a hole under a tree. And Merlin gently placed the frog in the hole, and Papa covered it with the loose, wet soil. "Now the frog is with Mimi and Ganoush's Mama and Papa," said Merlin. Mama hugged her big boy. "Well, maybe it's big night in heaven, too." When they went back to the car, Mimi and Ganoush and Peregrine were all asleep. "I'm so glad Mimi and Ganoush could be here for this," said Merlin, "and for my birthday." As Papa drove home, carefully dodging spring's migrating breeders, Merlin practiced his song. "Blow on a trumpet, ring me a bell. Holy smokes, look at me, folks. I'm coming out of my shell.